Okay, perfect. All right, so I'll get started now. As I think maybe if I'm right, Ankit was talking earlier.
Yeah, Ankit.
Okay. Yeah, we have exchanged a few emails and very happy to meet with you for the first time. So, as Ankit introduced, I'm Srishti. I work as a developer advocate at Wikimedia Foundation. Wikimedia Foundation is the organization behind Wikipedia and its sister projects. And in this session, I will be sharing with you some ways in which you can start contributing to the language tech space of Wikimedia. There are lots of volunteering opportunities in this land, and I'll be sharing with you a little bit about this in this session. Okay, so before we get started, and just curious to know if folks here in this room, they are all joining virtually or there are some folks in person as well.
All of them are joining virtually.
Okay, great. All right. So before I get started, I would like to ask this question from all of you and maybe get a couple of responses from folks here in the room. If you could maybe think for a moment and think about which modern day platforms do you see adapting to diverse languages and cultures and how you think they do it. If maybe someone can raise their hand and share, that would be great. Would
So I've
anyone
given you mic access. If you wanna share, please raise your hand.
would anyone like to unmute themselves and share? Or you can use the chat as well. Okay, going once, going twice. All right, then I will continue to move to the next slides. So I'm sure you all already use a lot of these modern day platforms and you have observed some of these features already, which are doing a pretty great job in personalizing the experience for you as you browse these platforms. So just very quickly, let's take a look at what I'm referring to here. So I'm sure you all have used Facebook, right? And when you go to Facebook and see a post from someone, and the post is not in a language which is your user preference, you see an option to translate that post into another language. So that's like one example. Then, if you browse Netflix, you may have observed that there is a way for you to browse movie recommendations by language. I'm sure you all use WhatsApp, and there are lots of cultural emojis on WhatsApp. If you have gotten a chance to browse Amazon on a different in a different location, you may have observed how the currency format varies based on users' location. And similarly, personally, I've been enjoying using Microsoft Copilot recently, and you know how it allows you to converse with this platform in my local language, which is Hindi. So all of these digital platforms, they really offer us a great experience, and they have this capability to adapt based on languages and cultures. So these are the kind of examples. Now let's talk about Wikipedia. I'm not sure if you know this or not, that Wikipedia is available in 339 languages. Isn't this really cool? And you will be even surprised to know that out of these 339 languages, there are 27 Indian languages in which Wikipedia is available. And this is what really makes it one of the most multilingual platforms that we have today in the world. So if you have not got a chance yet to explore Wikipedia in your language, I would really encourage you to do so. And um, I recall that when I was not at the Wikimedia Foundation, I had no idea that Wikipedia was available in so many Indian languages. I had no idea that Hindi Wikipedia existed. So this was really cool for me to learn about this. So there is another thing that many people, ask and are curious, that Wiki Media, which is the organization behind Wikipedia, it hosts over 14 free knowledge projects. Now, these projects, they may not be as popular as Wikipedia, but they are popular for specific uh, content or specific causes. So, for example, there is Wikimedia Commons, which is this repository of media files and images and so on. Then there is also Wikidata, which is this repository of data used across a lot of Wikimedia projects, including Wikipedia, and it's also used by a lot of third party developers to build interesting tools. And so the reason why I wanted to share this is because a lot of the Wikimedia's major content projects like this, they are multilingual in nature as well. Now, again, I want to pause here, and I would like you all to reflect on this question. If you know that there is a Wikipedia available in your local Indian language, and if it exists, have you got a chance to read it or maybe contributed edits to it? Would anyone like to raise their hand and share how their experience has been? I see Vishal typed in the chat saying yes. Vishal, if you are comfortable, do you want to unmute yourself and share a little bit? Or maybe Ravi Tej.
Guys, can you please react? That do you have a mic access? Yes. Yeah. So Hirdesh, do you wanna say something?
Or you can just use the chat to say, oh, I
Yeah,
see.
Gauri.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
So I explore the Hindi Wikipedia, and I edited more than 50 articles there. Yeah,
Wow, that is
that
really
was my
impressive.
experience.
That's amazing. Do you want to
Yes.
also share how your experience has been, or maybe even how you started editing articles?
Okay, so I just participate in editathon, which was organized in I think July, and वहाँ पे मैंने firstly when I just start the editing, I'm not able to edit a single line. Then I connect with Ankit sir, and he connected me with Nitish, and she told me about how to edit Hindi Wikipedia especially. And then I'm able to contribute to and edit the Hindi Wikipedia, and I edit approx 50 articles there.
Wow, that is a really big number, I think, to edit 50 articles, given that you have just started contributing. That's pretty impressive.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else would like to share their experience? And yeah, if you are, comfortable sharing in your local Indian language, if you want to talk in Hindi, that's also fine. Just saying. Okay, we'll give a few more seconds and see if anybody has anything to add. Okay, so then I'll move on to the next slide here. Okay, so from here on, I'll start talking a bit about the language tech and give you an overview of this space. So, in Wikimedia, in the language tech space, when we operate, we really try to ensure that all our projects, all Wikimedia projects, they are accessible in many languages. And we do so by supporting internationalization and localization efforts. Just very quickly, have you ever heard about these two terms before? Can you respond via chat? Maybe yes or no? Oh, nice. That's pretty cool. Okay, so for folks who may not be familiar, who are not familiar with these terms, just very quickly, internationalization is this process of designing platforms so that they can be used internationally and can support localization efforts. And for internationalization, whatever you do in the software, you do it like from the very beginning. And when you're designing it, you're thinking about applying some of these principles. And localization, on the other hand, it's about adapting the platform so that it can meet the needs of local communities. So not just platform, but also content that goes on it. Now, you might be wondering what are some of the examples behind these principles. So let's take a look at internationalization. Now, this is really one of my favorite examples. I'm not sure again if you know this or not, that Wikipedia, it can be read as well as translated into multiple languages. And this is possible using a very cool tool called content translation, which is again something which was built by my current team and also is maintained by it. So there is this very cool tool that allows people to translate articles from one language to another. And there is also a screenshot that you can see on the screen, using which you can see the source on the left side, and on the right side you get a lot of options using these automatic machine translation services like Google Translate and Yandex to generate suggestions for translations, and it's up to you which one you want to pick. So in addition, there is also a section translation tool. If some of you here, it looks like you have participated in editathons before. If you have not got a chance yet to explore the section translation tool, I would highly recommend you to take a look at it, because this is something that allows you to edit direct from mobile devices and really makes it easier. So this is one example of how internationalization is in practice in our projects. Then there is this another one. Again, folks in the room, have you ever heard about right to left languages? You can just respond by yes or no. Okay, cool. It looks like folks are maybe a little bit familiar with the concept. So just very briefly, MediaWiki, for those of you who don't know, is really the core software, and I will be using this term a lot going forward in the presentation. So MediaWiki, it's the software behind Wikipedia, which is designed in a way so that it can support display of different writing systems, including right to left languages. So Wikipedia in total, it supports 36 writing scripts, including Devanagari, that I'm sure all of you are familiar with. Devanagari is one of the popular writing systems that is used for writing in a lot of Indian languages. So in addition to these writing systems, there are some common scripts that write characters right to left. Like a lot of languages that we come across, I'm sure you may have seen that it's all left to right, just like Hindi and English. But then there are these other scripts that write characters right to left, as you can see it in the screenshot on my slide. This is an example of Urdu Wikipedia, how RTL interface appears there. So MediaWiki is designed in a way so that it can support display of such languages. Now, then I want to mention this example of localization. So how is Wikimedia applying localization in its platforms? So it supports various input methods, keyboards, and fonts. Now, you might be wondering, why we need these additional fonts and keyboards in the first place. So, for example, a script like Bengali, it may not appear nicely for with some of the other default system fonts that have on your machine. And so, for scripts like this, it becomes important to provide support for other fonts that work well with the language. So, Wikimedia provides support for additional fonts like this. And then, if you, let's say, want to type in your native language like Hindi, or search for things in Hindi, you can select a Hindi keyboard and then be able to do so. So this is another example, but I also want to quickly highlight that I think in my experience, the keyboard layouts that we have for Hindi, they I think they have not been touched for years, and they really require a lot of improvement. So, as part of your journey with Wikitech Club, if you want to test these keyboards and give us any feedback, how you think they can be improved, or even go help fix some of these keyboard layouts, that would be great. Okay, so from now on, this session will get a little bit more technical in nature, and I will start talking about a few technical areas where you can contribute. So, in the language tech space, I think that it's a really great opportunity for newcomers to come learn, grow, and connect with others while contributing to the open knowledge movement. We have a lot of simple and easy tasks for newcomers to get started. So, in the process of contributing to some of these tasks, you can learn a lot. You can, not only develop an understanding of some of these internationalization and localization principles, but also by using some of these multilingual tools, you can get a better idea of how a multilingual software is developed, or a software like MediaWiki that can be then adapted to various regions and cultures. And of course, you can gain hands-on experience with the open source contributions. And you will learn very soon when I will go forward that one really nice things about contributing to a project like Wikimedia is that whatever you will contribute, everything is going to be in public. All the technical discussions that you will participate in, all the patches that you will end up making, everything is going to be public, and you will then be able to use these contributions, give a link to them in your resume or portfolio, or include it in your grad school application. So I think in that way, personally, I feel like it's really helpful for university students to learn by contributing to such projects. All right. So now I would like to, very briefly again here, talk about the kinds of coding and documentation tasks that we have. So again, very simple. You can make small edits to translation messages in a software like MediaWiki Core. These edits, they can be related to making spelling, grammar fixes, and then you can also pick up tasks which are to do with making small bug fixes or feature enhancements in language tools like content translation that I just mentioned. Or, as I was mentioning earlier, you can help improve the keyboard support that we have for Indian languages. So yeah, I will pause there and see if anybody has any quick question they want to ask. And if not, I'm also very curious to learn if any of you have ever contributed to open source projects before. And if so, like which project you contributed to. If you can maybe use the chat to share your response. Okay, Vishal says he has contributed to a lot of projects. Someone else said they've contributed to extensions. That is great. Oh, wow. That's so cool. Some of you have already installed MediaWiki. Okay, nice. That's exactly what I'm going to talk about next. Okay. So before I share with you some examples of tasks for you to take a look at, I want to mention that in order for you to work on some of these tasks, you will need some requirements here. So one is that if not experience with MediaWiki, you will need to set it up locally because this is the project where you will be making some code changes. A lot of the tasks that I have for you, they are related to MediaWiki. So getting yourself familiar with how you can set up MediaWiki locally and how to run it locally, how you can make patches to this project are some of the things that you'll need to get familiar with. There is a guide for it, and I will be sharing these slides later, so you can click on the links which are on my slide. Then there is also Gerrit. So Gerrit is kind of like a code collaboration platform like GitHub that Wikimedia uses a lot for collaborating on projects. So you'll have to set up an account on Gerrit, upload your SSH keys, learn how the review system works on Gerrit, and then you'll be able to submit patches. So that's the second requirement. And then there is third, which is setting up Fabricator. So I'm not sure if as a university student, you all use some kind of task management system like Asana or something else, but in Wikimedia, we use Fabricator for task management. Everything that we do, every little thing, it goes on Fabricator. Like for me, even this session that I'm running with you all today, there is a task about it that I'm supposed to organize a session. So as I said earlier, everything here is public. You can search for things. You can participate in technical discussions on tasks. It's very much collaborative and participatory in nature, contributing to Wikimedia projects, as you'll be able to observe slowly. So in order for you to work on tasks, claim these tasks, ask questions, you'll be using Fabricator a lot. And it's very easy to set it up. Okay. I hope I have not overwhelmed you with a lot of information before the technical part will start. So from here on, it will get a little bit challenging. So please pay attention, and yes, feel free to use the chat to ask me any questions. So I will be sharing with you now some task areas and examples that I think it will be easier for you to work on them given their nature. And these tasks are also from some of our actively maintained repositories, so it will be very easier for you to get feedback on these kind of tasks. So I'll be sharing with you 5 examples. And I think the first 3 are coding related. Next 2 are documentation related. So for first 3, you need to pay a little bit more attention. So the first example is about adding plural support for messages. Now, what does that even mean? So in MediaWiki, we have designed the system in a way so that it adds plural support and ensure that the messages are handled correctly. And the reason why this is needed is because languages, they have unique pluralization rules. So for example, in English, there is a singular and plural. So if you want to, if you have pages which is more than one, then you will add an S to page. But the same is not true when it comes to other languages like Russian and Arabic. They have multiple plural forms. So that's why we need a support like this. Now, there is a task on Fabricator which is about adding plural support for these 2 messages, which are related to showing information for an article when it was last edited. So you can find such information if you go to any article or link on any Wikipedia and you scroll all the way to the bottom, you will see that this message appears. So we need plural support, add plural support for a message like this. Now, with every task, I will share with you a little hint on how you can approach this problem and where you can find the code for it. So, for example, for this one, you will need to look into MediaWiki core repository. There are a lot of language related files. For every language, there is a JSON file where these translations go. So for this one, you will look into English.json file and find where this message is and then make the change. So the hint for implementation here is that if you will notice, by inserting a plural function in the translation message, such a support can be provided. So MediaWiki handles adding support by making use of plural functions. So this little statement that you are seeing that starts with plural in this message, what does that even convey? So $2 here, it represents hour of the day. And with such representation, when $2 equal to 1, the output will become 1 hour towards the end. But if it is more than 1, then the output will become 23 hours, for example, if the number is 23. So this is, again, a very simple hint here for you. And in the similar way, so many other messages that require such support can be edited. You may have to do some extra work here to maybe first parse the time, which is in the format of hour and minutes. So you may have to do some extraction to take the hour number out and then do this sort of post processing on it. So again, not a lot of code changes that you will have to do for this task, maybe just one line, but you'll have to do some homework in figuring out where this line is and which repository and so on. So then there is this another example of capitalization support. So capitalization, as you can imagine, it is the process of converting letters to uppercase or lowercase. Now, the reason why we need to handle capitalization is because this works differently across languages, and every language has unique rule. So, for example, you might be surprised to learn that in Turkish language, until today, letter I in lowercase, if you will convert it into uppercase, it will become an I with a dot on top of it, which is different in English, right? There is no dot in uppercase I in English, but in Turkish, it's completely different. So that's why we need some sort of additional changes for every language to make capitalization work for it. And this task is about Karakalpak Wikipedia, which is a Turkish language. And here the request from the community is that the letter I should no longer redirect to I with a dot on top of it, but just I, because there are some changes that have happened recently in the language. And you can read through the discussion to learn more about the reasons behind it. So the screenshot of the code that you see on my slide, it shows the two functions that are already in the code right now that were doing this sort of transformation from I to I with a dot. But now the community is asking to change this and make it some other letter. So again, very simple thing to do. And in order for you to work on something like this, you'll have to again make changes to MediaWiki core, go to this language file, which is specific to this Wikipedia, and you will learn more by reading through comments and fabricated tasks. Okay, so I think that the hard part is, I think, over now. Now everything that I will talk about will should be super easy for you to understand. So this example here is about improving the user interface of a language selector that we use in Wikimedia. So there is a library which is hosted on GitHub. It's called jquery.ime. And this library, it supports several keyboard input methods. So if, let's say, you will go to any Wikipedia, and if you'll click on search, you will see this little pop-up that will show up, from which you can invoke keywords and also language settings. So this sort of feature that you see is provided by the MediaWiki extension called Universal Language Selector. I saw that some of you in the chat mentioned earlier that you have, set up MediaWiki locally and are trying to look into extensions. So this is actually one of the MediaWiki extensions. And for those of you who are curious why, we are talking about extensions separately. So the MediaWiki software, which is behind Wikipedia, it actually comes with very basic functionalities. But if, let's say, you want to enhance the functionality of software based on your own needs, then you can build extensions on top of it. So this is one example of an extension that exists, which allows you to select and modify language settings and fonts and input methods. So first of all, I think this is very amazing that there is a Wikipedia in Sanskrit language, right? I think it's pretty cool. I'm sure you all have learned Sanskrit in school. So there is this task about making Devanagari as the default input method for Sanskrit Wikipedia. Now, again, this is very simple thing. The reason why, because in the user interface for this language selector, you just need to reorder the input methods, because right now there is no way to set up input methods as default in the library. And that is why you just need to reorder them, whatever the community is asking. I think they're asking for Devanagari to make as default, so we have to bring it in the top of the list. So just some reordering needs to happen, and all the change will go into this jquery.ime library. There is an input methods file which is in JavaScript, and there you'll be able to find this information. Very, very simple thing to do again. And also, a way for you to quickly look into how JavaScript code works. Okay, so next I'll be talking a bit about two of the documentation tasks. So if, let's say, you are browsing English Wikipedia and suddenly you feel the urge to translate the interface and view everything on the software in your language, if, let's say, it's Hindi for a lot of you, then you'll be able to do so by adjusting your user preferences and changing the language from English to Hindi. And suddenly everything will appear, like all the headings on the top, headings in the footer section, everything in the sidebar, everything will start appearing in your local language. And this is happening because there are translations available for the software interface in multiple languages. And Wikimedia does so by gathering these translations on a platform called translatewiki.net. So you can go there, set up an account, select your preferred language, preferred Indian language, and then you can go to MediaWiki, which is one of the popular projects, and find most used messages that need translation. There is a way to find such messages and then start working on these translations. Use the editor to enter translation. So it pretty much, the concept is similar to content translation tool that I was sharing earlier. It is going to show you some suggestion using automatic machine translation services. You can select one of these message or completely like write your own message in your local language using a keyboard available, and when you're happy you can submit the translations. I can tell you that the translations in Hindi, most use messages in Hindi, they need a lot of work on MediaWiki. I think when I last checked, it showed that it was just like 33% completion. The completion rate for these messages was just 33%. So in order for take it to 100%, still the software needs a lot of translations, and it's also again a very simple tool for you to use. So if some of you here are interested in documentation, I would highly encourage you to check this out. And yes, you don't need a lot of technical skills for something like this. You just need to know a language that you are familiar with, and get yourself familiar with using this platform. Okay, so then the last example in my slides, it's about adding documentation for keyboard inputs which are missing. And even though this task that I've linked here, it may have some other keyboard layouts that you are not familiar with, although I do think that it's a very nice way to learn about other languages by writing documentation for them. But if, let's say, you come across documentation for some keyboards that are in Hindi, or that are related to an Indian language, and you're more comfortable understanding that language, feel free to choose those and help improve the documentation. So yes, as I said, why this is needed is because currently in the jQuery library, we have a lot of these input methods, right? There are layouts for them, but there is no documentation for users, for end users who are not, who don't come with a technical background, and they just want to know how they can use such a keyboard. So we have a documentation missing for a lot of keyboard input methods that can be improved. So you can, again, dive into this task. There is hint provided, and it's a very simple hint, so I'll not read through it. Okay, so I think that was pretty much it. In addition to some of these tasks that I've shared as examples, there are a lot of other tasks which are related to message or translation fixes. Again, very simple tasks. There are also small bug fixes or feature enhancement related tasks, tasks related to just reorganizing code structure a bit, maybe move some part of the code from one file and move it to another for better readability. So tasks like this that you can look at. Okay, I think with that, it's pretty much it from my end. If you all have any questions, I'm very happy to be here and respond. And I can also maybe sync with Ankit later to see if you all have any, follow-up questions where you can direct them. And yeah, just one thing that I want to mention is that I will also be notifying a few senior engineers in my team. So as and when you will be working on these tasks and we see some activity either on Fabricator or on Gerrit, we will take them to those engineers, and then they will be reviewing your code. Simple stuff like maybe message fixes or small bug fixes, I should also be able to review. But for anything which requires more technical input, I might direct them to our engineers. So maybe there is, like, we can figure out where is that best communication platform where you all want to be, and we can maybe get a conversation going after this session as well.
Okay, guys, I have already shared you developer resources, which is called developer playbook. So please go through that playbook if you don't know where to get started, and if you're still confused where to get started with these few things. So we already have a developer playbook for you guys. It has everything written. What is version control? What is Gerrit? How to set up keys? Everything is written there. What is Toolforge? So please go through these resources. I've already shared you a last email which has all the resources. Please go through those resources and start your first contribution. And I've already shared you a form. If you have done your first contribution, please fill up that form so that we can also get to know. and I think we can make a separate group with a few people who are the part of developer circle. And if you have any doubt, like if you have any basic doubt related to your good first task, you can ask your questions there. So yeah, any other doubt? Yes, Srishti.
Yeah, just one other small thing that I wanted to add here is that, also feel free to work on these tasks in groups. Like if, let's say, you all are, I don't know if you all are from same university, or are these students from same university, Ankit?
No, not all of them are from same university, but they are from 4 to 5 different colleges. So I think we can form a group and do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, so for example, like maybe two people can pick a task, and that way you can kind of like brainstorm with one another the approach for something. You can get on a call, on a Google Meet, discuss it. I think it's always helpful when two people are working on a tasks, like the kind that I shared with you. So I would, yeah, highly encourage, if that is something that you are interested in, go for it.
Cool. Any other doubt, guys, which you have? Anyone apart from developer circle who have started their contributions? Okay, so I think you need to go through those resources and then you can start your contribution. I will be creating a different channel with developer circle so that if you can ask your doubt if you have. Um, cool. Yeah, I think that's a wrap up. And Sister, do you want to share anything more? Yeah.
Yeah, just one more quick thing. So I'm just wondering if there is a channel that you all use where you want me to be there and just like, monitor or maybe know what students are working on, and if they have any questions, where to direct them. So yeah, please let me know maybe after the session if you want to.
Sure, sure. Cool. Guys, feel free to share your feedback post this call. I will be sharing also a feedback form. And thank you all for joining. You can start your first contribution. Just go through resources that I've already shared over email. Uh, Please wait for my next email. I will be assigning some tasks to few of you, and then you can start working on those tasks. Cool. Thank you, Srishti, for joining. It was a really great session. I think they have already learned a lot of things about documentations, about how to do their first contribution. And I think developer circle students have much doubt related to few queries, and now they are resolved. So it's a great session. Thank you, Srishti. Thank you, Mary, for joining. Thank you, Praveen, for joining.
Thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed sharing the work with you all, and really looking forward to your contributions.